All right, track one, Alexei. Track zero, sorry. Zero-based indexing.
Yeah, I just put it because it was on previous track, but there are no changes on this documentation track so far. So track one, so we are ready to test on production. We created an issue plan for it. We need to decide on time. So what would be the time that would work for everyone? Camille suggested early European zone time because that's where we have like less load. So Camille, please go on. Do you suggest to do a small test?
Yes, because like we discussed about like doing on our designated group, like the accumulation part, to validate as much as we can that it works properly. So maybe we can do this small test tomorrow because it's like not blocking anyone. And like this last test for the GitLab, what you basically like described here, which is I think you propose like Tuesday, like I think this is what you
Yes, Tuesday. Yeah, we definitely could do a small test tomorrow for just our small test group, and we are not even tied to a specific time because we are not going to impact the performance. So yes, I will do it.
Sorry, Camille, I think you just wrote the note about for GitLab org/gitlab.com group. That is for the line above, which is, can we do a small test tomorrow?
No, GitLab.com is not a small test. This is a big test on Tuesday, but for tomorrow.
What's the small group for tomorrow?
We just create our personal group with just 3 small projects, just the sample ones, and just test that we could accumulate minutes.
Okay, I will admit that in my morning's conversation where we were talking about doing the larger test, I didn't even realize that we were only scoping it to the org.com groups. So that makes me feel even better.
No, you're fully accurate.
Okay.
Like accumulation gonna happen on the GitLab or GitLab/gitlab.com, but enforcing of the quota gonna be happen like on all system-wide. So
I see. Okay.
So like it's still the same thing. It's like we need to pick like big enough data set that would gonna trigger a lot of accumulations. So it's
the enforcement
exactly the same as we discussed yesterday.
Okay. Thank you.
Do we have an issue for this small test tomorrow and all the logistics that are required?
Yeah, it would be really small. I could like add it to the issue. Decimal production. We don't have issue so far.
Okay.
I think it was part of our issue, like the steps that you had in this issue. It was like
I removed them, but I could return them back because I just updated everything. But yeah, I would update it soon.
Okay, thanks.
And so I don't know, I'm comfortable with the Tuesday early EU time. I can make sure that we coordinate that with support in case there are any questions. I don't know if anyone else has an alternative opinion or suggestion. If not, I think we can go with that. Okay, so I'll take the action to coordinate that and make sure that there's awareness of it in the support org. That would be where I would start. Anybody else have other suggestions of who we should make sure has awareness?
Probably support.com is good enough. Okay. Like support.com channel to make them aware, like probably day before, it's good enough.
Okay, cool, thanks.
Let's decide who will be attending this test. Like I will for sure. Camille, are you able to join? during this time?
I can definitely join. We would need someone from SRE team just in case to help us. Like, we're not gonna really need help, I guess, if we like configure the cost factors appropriately. So I think like what we could do, like we would just communicate that also for like our SRE team. We would do it like make these changes on the feature flag by our own, and we'll just use the whoever is on the call at that time if we notice any problems. Because like from our perspective, it would be like rollback of the feature flag in the worst case scenario. Because like I am assuming that like all aspects of the system, which is maybe like these cost factors, they would be configured ahead of the time. So we would not change the configuration of the cost factors. We would only toggle feature flag a few minutes before the hour and a few minutes after the due date to ensure that like we have full window so we could like validate data. And toggling the feature flag is, we can do that on our own. We don't really need any additional people, only communicating to make people aware that there's gonna be this thing being tested, which is like revert table with the feature flag, because we would not be making any other changes during that period. Is it like okay? Do you like get like my point and my suggestion, or do you think
Yes.
it's like?
For me, it looks okay, but you also mentioned that you want to make this public one to simulate high pressure. This means we would need to update it, right, at the time of the test? Or
so like let's update these cost factors tomorrow.
okay,
Right?
okay.
Like they are not doing anything till we enable feature flag. So let's update all third runners cost factors to 1 in all cases, and basically this will allow us to model everything that we need.
Good, sounds good.
So then like we have everything prepared just to toggle feature flag, get data, and then apply like the final setting on the GitLab Docker runners manager to be like public 0, private 1 later.
So we should create an actionable item, right, from it. So Alex, will you be able to help us with this factors update tomorrow?
Well, I will not be there in the morning because it's like 2 a.m. But I can do it today if it needs a feature flag, or I can find another European SRE to do it.
No. We don't need it in the morning. We are going it ahead of the time. We will test it on Tuesday, but we just need updated tomorrow in any time.
Okay, good. Then yes, I will do that.
Thanks.
So while we're watching Camille type here, same question as before. Do we have an issue for Alex to follow on this? To make all these changes?
We don't have an issue.
All right. Who wants to create the issue?
I could create an issue.
Okay.
After the meeting. Navilas and Alex.
Thank you. All right. See what metrics will we track during the test?
Yes, this is just the block I put, and Camille answered what we should be mostly aware of during the test and what we should estimate. So basically we need queuing and accumulation tests. I think that's it from this track and the testing.
Okay, and all of these requested tests are already available. We're just calling out what we're going to watch during the test. So there's no extra work to do here, I guess is what I'm asking.
I guess no, but Camille, do you know something about it? I didn't check them yet, if we could easily. But I guess, do we need, Camille, do we need to do something to track those metrics? I guess no, these timings.
Can you ask again? Sorry.
Are these metrics available today?
Yes.
Which we are going to track? Yeah.
Yes. So basically, update build minute services has its own separate worker, registered job service, its API before jobs request. So all these data are accessible, and we will basically probably do a dry run on getting this data tomorrow when testing the future pack. So we would have the relevant dashboard. I mean, maybe like not even dashboard, like the links to the source of data for Tuesday. Prepared.
It'd be a broken record here. Do we have somewhere where we're tracking how we want to measure?
I think we are looking for anomaly. I mean, anomaly, some spikes or something like this. We don't have any like estimates so far.
Okay, so we can just look back at existing and historical graphs and just see if there's a spike.
Yeah.
During that test period. So. Okay. All right. So no extra work to be done here. Thanks. All right, track 2. So Camille's typing. So fixing GitLab projects to use specific runners seems to be done.
Yeah, so like we removed that tag, I believe, Alex, yesterday, right? So probably if you would start like, I don't know, Monday next week, get the data from like 2 or 3 days in the Periscope, we would have like a confirmation that we actually migrated all relevant projects, and if there is anything else that escapes our track to migration, if this can be like any blocker. So I'm at this moment assuming that we migrated all the projects. There may be some time needed to propagate the changes merge into master because the forks would have to upgrade, I mean rebase on the latest master. But like we would basically know that if we get like a few days worth of data to ensure that like it's actually fully covered.
Okay, should we move on to track 3?
Yeah.
Okay. Alex?
Well, there's not too much to say here. We've built the managers, they're accepting jobs, took the tags off of the other ones, the shared runner managers that had it. We do have a couple more things, but they're not blockers. They are building a monitoring. Now, this is not, to be clear, this is not the monitoring of the managers, like if they're up or down or anything like that. Like we will still be getting alerts. This is the monitoring that monitors like job data. I am not 100% clear on how that works, but we do it in the other CI accounts. We want to replicate that here. But as far as I know, those are the only things left for track 3. If anyone wants to check it out, that Epic has everything left that I know of. Feel free to add to it or suggest anything if you're aware of something I'm not.
Okay. Kenny, you're up next.
Cool. Yeah. I have been working on a communication issue for announcing this change and then implementing it. I have a draft blog post that will actually update the old blog written. There is an open question to legal about our obligation for future announcement if we need to hit some window of announcing to our customers this change before we implement it. The previous discussion was that it's not in our contracts, but I don't know if there's some other requirement for us. If not, we'll go with like a 2-week window. So I'm anxious to get the blog published so we can start that window. That would have us hitting 2 weeks from, if we publish tomorrow, that would be the 22nd when we would be able to start implementing and turning on accumulation. I did want to note that I have twice heard from 2 different people this notion that we might consider delaying this change for some other CI pricing changes that are being considered, one of which is basically like moving away from, I'll give you the TLDR, but the primary one is moving away from this ability to purchase add-on minutes and on a single-use basis, and instead purchase add-on minute subscriptions that are the same length as your GitLab license subscriptions. So you can think of that as like, oh, I'm signing up for an extra 10,000 minutes every month for the remainder of my subscription, as opposed to just buying them one-offs. That is one of the primary ones that is being considered. I've pushed really hard to not have them coupled, and because I think this one can deliver some efficiency improvements immediately without being coupled, but that might end up being the case. Camille, you want to voice over what you heard?
Nothing. I'm kind of like thinking aloud in written form that I want to get rid of us changing the state of the feature flag. So I'm thinking aloud in what conditions we would enable the feature flag, ship a change to market on by default, but model cost factors.
Gotcha.
To reflect. Okay. And then really then it becomes not Alexi and my work to roll out the change, because the behavior of the system is a change of the public cost factor in the system, which can be done by anyone who has admin access. So we kind of close that part.
And that is that would enable you to remove the feature flag for accumulation in general. But what about the feature flag where when we would want to adjust that cost factor, we would like roll it out slowly to all groups, as opposed to it being a blanket for every group immediately? If you remove the feature flag, would that also prohibit us from rolling out on a group by group basis?
I don't have a good answer for you at this moment. Okay. Maybe let's take a look at how it goes and what is our expected timeline.
Okay, cool. So Craig, I know you asked me in this doc last week about timeline. I think if we're on track for the 22nd, we will, if we've announced it before the 18th, we'll be good. The question of waiting for rollout, I think, is secondary. So I think we're on track. I just worry about it getting bundled in or us having longer legal obligations.
Sure.
But I guess one thing I asked Camille and Alexi, and I'll ask in general on this call, me kind of starting the announcement process and proposing that we, announce it publicly, implies that I have a lot of confidence in our ability to be prepared for that. And from this call and from discussing with Camille and Alexi, I have that confidence. But if anyone is feeling like, no, there's still a bunch of stuff we need to do before we would move forward with implementing this change, please let me know, because I would hold off on making the announcement. Okay, doesn't have to be now. Y'all know how to find me. But
my only concern, as always, is that something unexpected breaks, and there is some unforeseen performance problem. But at least for now, it seems fine. Okay. I hope that it doesn't change next week.
On that note, do we have a backup plan if Tuesday testing does not go well?
Yes, we will disable feature flags, so we will return the behavior to the usual, and we'll create an optimization issues. So we won't need to make a huge move to return it back. We'll just disable every flag.
So I guess, Mac, you are asking about the Tuesday testing goes off, we need to make an action then and like improve the aspect of the system that we see that is broken. We are then kind of having a limited amount of time between like the effect and like the announcement. I'm assuming that like announcement when like this gonna be effective for everyone, there could become some disconnect like in the pessimistic case that we're gonna start enforcing that maybe like a few moments later than the actual date put in the announcement. The tricky part about that, we cannot start enforcing that before the actual date put in the announcement. So it's kind of like tricky balancing act right now on figuring out the way to test that, but still have like the proper communication to our customers. So we may be not effective at the day 0 with the cost effectiveness. If there are some challenges with the Tuesday testing.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And we followed that pattern where we've announced, I mean, our free users thing, we announced that we could start accumulating on public projects for new users prior to a certain date, but have still yet to do it. So I think the same thing applies here, that if the testing on Tuesday, if let's say we announce tomorrow, testing on Tuesday doesn't go well and it takes us an additional set of time to get to where we're prepared to start accumulating, if that's not exactly on the date that we announced, we can do so.
Makes sense. Thanks.
Sure.
All right, looks like we're at the end of the agenda. Any other topics we need to cover?
I don't think so. Thanks, everybody. I appreciate it. I will keep the channel updated as I find out more about whether or not we're going to post the announcement the next couple of days.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.